What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Well, Flex Lewis. Here's today's topic. Can Flex Lewis win the 2020 Open Olympia? Now, the short answer, for those of you that don't want to watch the full video, yes, he can. Absolutely. Now we'll get into the discussion of the topic. So, a few years ago, was it 2 years ago, when Flex decided he was going to step back from the Super 212 Showdown, Super Showdown, the 212 division. They call it so many different things, but we just call it the 212 Olympia. When he decided he was going to step back, I mean, he had won that thing so many times. It was like he was so dominant in that field, right? That it was like, or that class, I should say, that it was like he was going to be the next Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman. He was just dominating it year after year. There were a lot of good guys that came in, but Flex was just so complete. Like top to bottom, and it like the bigger that he got in that class, he would actually have to lose muscle to make weight. But he got more and more dense, and his lines didn't get screwed up, and it was like his stomach didn't get blown out. And I'm like, damn, I mean, he literally just kept growing little by little muscle-wise to the point where he'd have to lose that muscle to come down, but he was still dominating losing that muscle. Now, we saw, other people in the past do that, stuff like that, and, eventually we saw like people like Seth Feroce jump to the main, or the open division on the main stage at the Olympia, and didn't do as well as he had been doing in the 212 division. Basically, the people that have gone from the 212s and kind of shifted to the open really technically don't do that well historically. In the same way, people that are usually open competitors that drop to the 212, historically they don't do well either. So it's kind of like one of those things where nobody's done it yet, so because nobody's really done it, well, Hadi Choopan has jumped into the open, and of course, that opened the door, I thought, last year to really say, listen, some of these guys in the 212 class, they can make the jump. Not all of them, but there are some guys that are right there that really have to suck down and get into that weight class. These guys that don't have distorted physiques yet or worn out looking physiques, they might be able to do some damage, and Hadi walking in there show that. Now, I do believe that Flex, he's just another animal all the way around. His genetics are just like the way that his frame is, the way that the muscle bellies are, the insertions, all that stuff, and he trains hard, but he's able to maintain his health, not like blood work and stuff, but health as far as no injuries and stuff leading up to these shows. I've never heard of him getting a real actual injury that fucked him up for any period of time, maybe some strains, sprains, whatever, but nothing big. And I'm like, man, he's really developing over time, and now he's at the point where he can't fit in that class. Hadi just proved last year that somebody can come from the 212s into the open and stir it up real quick. Now we have something that's like, okay, I'm not taking anything away from Brandon Curry. I've met the guy, really nice guy, great physique. I'm not taking anything away from Dexter. I believe this would be Dexter's last year. I think he's retiring supposedly after this year. Or anybody else, whether Sean Roden comes back. Not taking anything away from those guys. They're amazing athletes. They have great physiques. They've all won the Olympia before. They're all former Mr. Olympias. However, we have something a little different now. Now, as far as conditioning, Flex brings this crazy conditioning, right? So he may not be as big as some of the other guys, but condition-wise, he can out-condition them just like Hadi Choopan did. So now we have Hadi and Flex both coming from the 212 division. Both are going to be in the top 5. Do I think that Hadi or Flex could wind up 1 and 2? Absolutely. Why not? All it takes is the other guys to be off enough and them to be right on where they need to be in target, and they win. Or they place first and second. Now, are they interchangeable? Hadi's never beat Flex. Could Hadi beat Flex? I haven't seen him bring a physique yet that I feel like would be a slam dunk, hands down. He has it in him to beat Flex. Now, could he have that physique in the future? Absolutely. Could it be this year? Absolutely. Could something happen with Flex's physique where he goes backwards? Because many champions, when they're on top for a while, no matter what they do, and they keep pushing and pushing and pushing, they go backwards. They get worse. Could that be what's coming for Flex? It could be. We don't know. Like, there's so many things left. It's still 5 months away for the show to be here. But the fact that, many people have written Flex off. I myself, if you go back and look at the video, I said I don't think this would be a good idea. I think that Flex, being who he is, he's cemented his legacy. He has his health still. He's got a family. He's got businesses. There really is no reason for him to push it, to try to be that guy that comes from the 212 class to win. I mean, here's the deal. I understand what it would look like in his resume. I understand how it's written in history, but you're pushing your body with certain things, the drugs included, for certain amounts of time that you're getting away with. Sooner or later, the possibilities of something happening bad go up. So why would you take that risk if you've already cemented yourself? I don't think anybody we're going to see in our lifetime is going to win 12, 212 division Olympias in a row, or 10 or 8 or whatever, Flex had won. I don't see anybody being that dominant in that class right now. So he's pretty much cemented his dominance in that class, but he feels like he can be the first one to do it. And he honestly believes that. So I'm like, fuck it, here we go. Let's see what happens. And I think it makes the Olympia interesting, right? You have Brandon Curry, which many people have spoken out about like how the competition now is not what it used to be back in the day, right? You have Dexter Jackson, who's retiring and couldn't compete pretty much all year because of COVID. So could he put 150% into this show and come back looking better than ever after being rested? That's another factor, right? We have Sean Roden saying that he's going to compete this year, throwing his hat back in the ring. Now, there's 3 former Mr. Olympias, right? Now we have Hadi Choopan, who shook things up last year. I mean, to me, he was the talk of what was going on. Like, we didn't know what the hell was happening. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, here he is, and it's like he might push to wind up winning the Olympia's first try over here in the open division, right? So we have those 4 guys that already are coming back that we don't know out of those 4 guys who would or wouldn't win based on what's going on this year. Now you add Flex Lewis to the mix, and the rumblings about Kai Green coming back, because Kai is now, the Olympia now is not the same people that Kai had an issue with before. It's been sold off to different people. So now there's rumors about maybe Kai coming back because they've talked to him and they've put that bed to fucking rest or whatever's going on with that, and he's ready to roll. So now you have Kai coming back. So now I'm like, wait a minute, this year, 2020, is actually turning out to be a very, very interesting Olympia year, and it's used, it's been purchased by Jake Woods, who's an individual that is now trying to take the Olympia and bring it back to its once prominent greatness, where it was everything that everybody, envisioned it, thought about it, loved about it, before big business really took it, shook it up, and shook the shit out of it and destroyed it. So now we have like somebody that's moved it to another place, so it's back on the Strip, the host hotel. Like, there's so many things that they're changing this year with the new people that might be coming back from divisions that haven't competed in a couple of years, people crossing over from the 212s, Kai may be coming back, Dexter's last year, Sean Roden coming back. To me, it's like a whole, rejuvenation for the Olympia this year. Now, who's going to win? Who the fuck knows? And who the fuck cares at this point, right? At this point, we could just watch everybody get ready, support the people we want to support, get out there, and see what happens. I'll be honest with you guys. I could see, honestly, depending on who's off and who's on, Brandon could win, Dexter could win, Sean could win, Hadi could win, Flex could win. Any one of those guys could win. And now when you put it like that, now you have a battle. Now you have a battle as to who has done their homework, who's kept their shit together, who could focus better, who could push harder, who could bring the better physique on that day. That's 5 great champions that are all, and let's throw Kai in there too. Kai coming back. Let's say Kai comes back. So you have 6 champions, right, that are all worthy of that title. That's something I want to see. That's something that's exciting to me. That's something that's bringing back that pizzazz, that like magic about what happens at the Olympia with the best of the best that anybody could win, whereas opposed to it was just so dominant for so long. And then we had that point where it was like a transitional point where Sean Roden couldn't even compete. So we didn't even have a returning Mr. Olympia. So we didn't have any idea who would be able to win that title that year. And now here we are with 5 possible or 6 possible winners if you throw Kai Green in there, that all of them on that given day could take it. To me, that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. So chime in below. Let me know what you guys think about any of this stuff with Kai coming back, with Flex Lewis being, in the open division and being able to take it. I'm really curious, and now we're heading into that I was going to say WrestleMania season, but we're heading into that Mr. Olympia season or Olympia season, where the diets have already started. People are starting to crack down with their training and stuff. They're starting to ramp things up. Super interesting time to see how people develop. And if they're going to show progression, if they're going to hide it like back in the old days where you don't see until the day of the show. I assume the interviews and stuff will start taking place now, even if it's virtual through like Zoom and stuff like that. We're going to see the athletes starting to talk about what's going on in their prep, who's doing what. It's about to get interesting, hopefully. And yeah, I just can't wait for the outcome because this is probably the first Olympia since, well, when it was Jay's last Olympia in 2013. I really enjoyed that one. I wanted to go for that. When Kevin made his comeback, I really enjoyed that Olympia. So I think since Kevin's comeback, I'm really looking forward to this Olympia, and we'll see where it rolls. BioStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStreet.com is a blog. It's the Olympia's coming up, Bicep, and we are